Hey there, it's Andrea Olson here with the Go Diaper-Free podcast, and today I'm going to record myself recording episode number 91, which is all about how Betsy potty trained her triplets in 8 days flat. Seriously amazing story, so watch or you can listen over to iTunes. And yes, I'm wearing a mommy hat today because I'm having a terrible hair day. Don't ask me why. Okay, let's do this. Welcome to the Go Diaper-Free podcast, where we're all about helping you stop depending on diapers as early as birth. I'm your host, Andrea Olson, author and mom of 5 babies, all EC'd from birth, all out of diapers by walking. This is episode 91, Potty Training Triplets, how Betsy potty trained her triplets in 8 days total. This is a guest post by one of our wonderful community members, Betsy. And the written version, which is in her own words of today's show, can be found over at godiaperfree.com/91, where we will also conveniently link to all the things that she has mentioned in today's episode. I'll also be replying to comments over there, as will she, so come on by when you're finished if you have any questions or comments. And here is, in Betsy's own words, how I potty train triplets. My husband told me I should be careful Googling tiny undies. You might not get what you're expecting, he joked. But I'd already tried Target, Walmart, Amazon, and Etsy. You see, neither of us are what anyone would consider tall. Add to it that our triplet daughters were born a month early and that they were about 20 months old at the time I was shopping. Nothing about our circumstances or our gene pool leaned in the direction of large children, and no underwear I could find came remotely close to fitting them. But one of our daughters was showing interest in the toilet, and I didn't want to lose a golden opportunity to make peer pressure work in my favor. The tricky part about triplets. So you may think that this goes without saying, but the trickiest thing about triplets is that there are always more of them than there are of you. I have never had enough arms or laps or boobs. My babies still only have 2 parents. No matter how you slice it, we are always outnumbered. So at scarcely over a year and a half into motherhood, I had learned a lot about inertia. Convincing one toddler to do anything can be tough, but convincing 3 toddlers definitely adds a multiplier to the difficulty factor. And then there's the element of monkey see, monkey do. If one of them throws a fit, the others will join in shortly. So for these reasons, I knew I needed to use the curiosity of my middle child to my advantage. So one day I dumped the poop out of her reusable diaper and into a toilet at swim lessons. As she watched me do it, everything about her expression changed. Because all of her previous poops had been into disposable diapers, this was different, and I could see her connecting little dots in her head. She had a few words at 18 months old, but that day, we didn't need any. At the time, I knew of no one potty training at 18 months old, but I had also learned as a mother of triplets that it wasn't worth comparing my life to others. Most people weren't doing what I was doing, so I took her motivation and I made it my own. If I could potty train her, those sisters of hers would soon apply the monkey see, monkey do motto they all seem to live by. I went to the store, bought a little potty and the smallest undies I could find, but when I got home and I tried them on her, there was daylight all the way around the leg holes. I was stumped. So I just want to pause there. Betsy's amazing, you guys. She teaches about pelvic floor rehabilitation and training for your postpartum mamas. Go see her at MamaMadeStrong.com, please. MAMA. MadeStrong.com. Okay. End of little. I love her, so I had to share that. So here's how she got started, which leads us back to the Google search my husband didn't recommend. He gets a lot of things right, but this time I found exactly what I was looking for, and then some. The very first hit when you Google tiny undies happens to be a company called Tiny Undies, which sells, as you might guess, miniature-sized underwear for miniature-sized people. This underwear is unisex, comes in a variety of colors, and covers children's bottoms. For someone like me who's turned off by the pink everything and the skimpy cut of most retail underwear for little girls, this was a huge plus. I was delighted by what Andrea Olson, owner of Tiny Undies, had to offer. I spent far too long belaboring over what 3 colors to pick for my girls. When I finally made it to checkout, a pop-up asked me if I wanted to buy a book on potty training. I had gotten this far on mostly enthusiasm, but I was fully aware that the rubber would soon meet the road. I was not looking forward to the negotiations, headbutting, and bribes that I assumed came with potty training. Before my babies were even born, I had dreaded this stage. I had watched other parents tote around Cheerios, food dye, candy, and all sorts of tricks to get their kids to ditch diapers. I knew I didn't want any part of that, much less times 3. I didn't hesitate long before I agreed that yes, I did want a book on non-coercive potty training, especially when it describes success without rewards, gimmicks, or M&Ms. Sign me up for that. The confidence I gained from Andrea's book. At this point, my girls were 21 months old, and we were traveling to see friends over a 3-day weekend. I read the tiny potty training book in the car while my husband drove. It described several things that gave me confidence. First, it pointed out how drastically the age at which we potty train has increased since the invention of disposable diapers, from about 18 months to 3 years average over a 50-year span of time. Second, it described the difference between the average age of potty training in westernized countries, which is around 3 years old, versus the average age in non-westernized countries, around 12 months old. And lastly, it teaches potty training as a life skill and a new independence to foster in your child rather than a behavior you need to bribe them to perform. Now, this last point is a big deal for me for reasons I've already mentioned, but also because I'm a physical therapist in my life outside of triplet mama. This means I've had the privilege of watching a lot of people both succeed and fail at learning new physical skills. To be honest, the biggest difference in most of these situations is determination. People ask me sometimes how I motivate my patients. As much as I'd like to be able to do this for them, I really don't think that I do. The kind of motivation that has staying power comes from within. The goal is to help every individual find that. And Andrea's book gave me this feeling with respect to potty training. It gave me a certain calm before I even began. Rather than starting a negotiation with my children, we were embarking on a new phase of our lives where we could learn something together. Although still daunting, it no longer sounded like such a power struggle. How I potty trained my triplets in 8 days. So when we got home from our trip, I made a big deal about having a special time for my middle child and about her learning something new and big. I promised the others that they would also have a turn, but that we needed to learn one girl at a time. Although the advice in Andrea's book was to call for backup and bring in your mother or your friends to help you potty train multiples all at the same time, this really wasn't an option for me. We had survived an international move 6 months prior, and no such people were anywhere nearby. Instead, I fell back on the advice that had worked when my babies were waking us 11 and 12 times a night. One girl at a time, I taught them that 10-month-olds don't need milk. 10-month-olds don't need milk in the middle of the night. And once one girl started sleeping through, I moved on to the next one. So I let my daughter pick the color of her underwear, and even though per the book's instructions she didn't wear that on the first day, she proudly carried them all over the house. We met our first goal that she understands where her waist should go, and we moved on to the next day to the idea of leaving the house with clothes on. If you've never had the pleasure of going anywhere with 3 children under 2, let's just say it's time-consuming. Add on top of that we lived in a rural area where even the grocery store was 15 minutes away. There was nowhere I was confident going with her tiny bladder and newly acquired skill of holding it. So we went for a walk. She peed before we left. We went outside for 10 to 15 minutes. We came back in and she peed again. Score, score, score. Another success and another notch in our growing confidence. The following day, we braved the grocery store. She peed before we left. She peed when we got to the store. She peed when we came out of the store, and she peed when we got home. If she didn't pee every single time, she was at least presented with the opportunity. And that was it. That was the first child I ever potty trained. Whew, time to move on to number 2. I selected my oldest daughter as the next contestant because she was battling a stubborn diaper rash. She may not have been the next most motivated, but they hadn't had much diaper rash, and this one just wouldn't quit. I went through the exact same process with her, and again, it went off without a hitch. Now, by the time it was my youngest daughter's turn, she was chomping at the bit. We had an outing plan with friends that meant she only had 1 day to learn before leaving the house. Because she was so eager and had already watched her sisters, I rolled the dice and skipped her naked day. She already had the concept of where pee and poop should go. On her first day of potty training, she put on her undies. Everyone peed before we left the house, and she made it on a short walk like a champ. The following day, we went to a strawberry patch with all 3 girls in undies. They peed before we left the house and peed when we got there. I knew the intervals they could hold it, so I kept a careful eye on the clock. We were back in the car in 45 minutes, and they all peed again, because you guys, she carried around a mini potty with her. She's smart. 3 girls out of diapers in 8 days at 21 months old. I was blown away. Tips for potty training triplets. Although those initial 8 days were absolutely incredible, I don't want you to believe that potty training was really that simple for us. We definitely had some hiccups in the process, but they all came later. Here are some tips I learned along the way. Number 1, we turned our diaper bag into a mini closet and carried all of our underwear there, along with multiple sets of complete wardrobe changes. Number 2, because guys, you know what? Betsy did that because it stresses you out if you only have 1 pair of clothes left and you've just left on your outing. What are you going to do if they pee in them? Okay, number 2, a peed-in car seat is a hard thing to deal with when you still got to put your child back into it to get home. I started carrying all of their old burp cloths in the back of our van, and when car seats were soiled, I just changed the child and piled up enough old muslins in the bottom of the seat until the wet was covered and they could sit in it again. Then I dealt with everything when we got home. Number 3, there is a travel toilet in Andrea's book called a Potty Plus. Our potty training experience would have been totally different without it. It's foldable and we take it everywhere. I hate having little people in public restrooms because they want to touch everything. Instead, I set this toilet up in our van or our boat or wherever, and we're always ready. I don't have to worry about how long it takes to get everyone into a building. The toilet is in the van and ready to go when we arrive or if we have to make a stop to take care of business. And by the way, this is Andrea speaking now. The Potty Plus comes with a rubber reusable insert, so you can use that on the go. We always do. Tip number 4, before we started potty training, I debated about how many potties I should have. We ended up with 1 standard potty, the Potty Plus, and a seat reducer. It was perfect. There were rarely times when they all needed to go at the same time, but if they did, we had options. They also learned to use a variety of tools, so they weren't picky about which seat they'd go on. We carried them around the house initially, then later we taped off part of a hallway because our bathroom was too small for all of our equipment. Number 5. After completing her potty training process, my oldest daughter, the one with the least interest in the whole thing, decided for several days that she just wasn't going to pee on her regular intervals, and instead, she would pee her clothes right after I had presented her with the toilet. I went back to Andrea's book to troubleshoot, decided that maybe she wanted more independence, and stopped taking her. Instead, when I needed her to go or thought she might need to, I would just ask her. If she did, she'd go and take care of it by herself. If she didn't, she'd just tell me no. To this day, since I gave her the reins, she has had the least accidents of all of them. Did you guys hear that? All she did was give more independence. Way to go, Betsy. Naps and nighttime dryness. These were probably the hardest for us. Since they were born, my life has revolved around my children's sleep. Triplets have a way of exhausting their mother, and if I'm too tired, it gets bad for everyone. Even though daytime potty training was an amazing experience for us, I was nervous about disrupting their sleep patterns. But almost at exactly 2 years old, they started taking their own diapers off at nap. That's 3 months after she potty trained, you guys. Sometimes they'd call us into their room and offer us the poop they were holding in their little hands. Sometimes they take the diapers off and fall asleep, only to wake having wet everything. I decided it was time to get rid of naptime diapers. It took a lot of discussions, a lot of failed attempts, and double-sheeted beds, but in about a month, they found a new rhythm. They peed before nap and then generally slept for about 2 hours. On occasion, they would call me before nap was over, but usually if they peed before they laid down, they were fine. As for nighttime, one of them was dry all night at about 2.5 years old. I tried to take her out of diapers for nighttime, but she just wanted to wear them because her sisters were. Monkey see, monkey do. Around the same time, her sisters started holding it at night, but then letting it all go at once in their sleep. This meant overflowing every diaper we tried. My solution was to decrease fluids for the hour or two before bed, and then to take everyone for a dream pee around 10 or 11 o'clock p.m. This worked well. And by the way, you guys, I'm going to do a podcast on dream pees soon. This worked well, but it is mentioned in my book. That's how she knew about it. They totally ditched all diapers by 33 months old, but after waking every night to take them pee for almost a year, it was really taking a toll on me. At this point, they were pushing 3.5 and were completely independent with daytime toileting other than wiping poop. So I set their most stable potty up in their bedroom on top of the tray to a dog crate. Sometimes they still call me, but mostly they just take care of it when they have to go. I love this story so much, you guys. My favorite thing about potty training, and this is the last part of her writing, I have to say that this experience far exceeded my expectations. People say I'm so lucky, I have 3 easy kids, but I'm always quick to credit the method. Sure, maybe some of it is their personalities or mine, but for us, it was never a negotiation. It was learning together to do this new, super cool, super big kid thing. The magic wasn't magic. It was intrinsic motivation. It's a new set of logistics, sure, but now that we have it, it's easier than diapers ever were and far cheaper. And lastly, I think potty training before 2 was a big part of their success. At that age, they greeted new things with such excitement and exuberance. By 2 and 3 years old, we have a lot more struggles over independence and who gets to make decisions. I am so thankful to have tiny children with tiny bottoms that led me to find Andrea and her book. Oh my gosh, Betsy, you're so amazing. You deserve all the credit. You did the Googling, you found out, and you made the decision to do what you've done. And we just all want to commend you. You're amazing. Everybody, please check out Betsy over at MamaMadeStrong.com. I will link to her in my show notes. She has a systematic approach to your postpartum body to get rid of that baby belly and help strengthen your pelvic floor and all the stuff that she's always done in physical therapy. She's got pictures up there about how, well, all of her fans and people she's helped, but also herself and how she got her stomach back into a really healthy physical state and looking really good after having triplets. So definitely check her out at MamaMadeStrong.com. And now it's your turn. Let's go over to godiaperfree.com/91 and let me know. What do you think about today's story? Are you inspired? Do you want to give this mama kudos? Do we want to give Betsy a virtual high five? I'll see you over there. And if you have any questions or comments for either of us, please put them in the comments. Till next time, when we talk about simplicity parenting and how this applies to EC, happy pottying, y'all. I'm Andrea Olson, and you've been listening to the Go Diaper Free podcast at godiaperfree.com. I'll see you next time. For a second there, I was so worried that it wasn't recording because that was awesome. What a great story, you guys. Please comment below for anything you want to tell Betsy. I'll have her keep an eye out on the comments and participate as well. Definitely check her out at MamaMadeStrong.com and all the things she can do to help prepare your pelvic floor since having a baby. Subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll let you know next time we do an episode. And yeah, are you potty training twins or triplets? Please write below. We want to hear what's up. I have another podcast about potty training twins. Let's find out which one that was. And you can go over and listen to that one anytime. And it talks about stagger training, which is pretty much what Betsy did, you guys. So the one on twins is, let's wait for Google. Come on, Google. Come on. Okay, twins is episode 82. So go to diaperfree.com/82 or just look here in YouTube and you can find that one easily. All right, you guys, till next time, take care. Thanks.